So hi, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the third lecture on the day one on understanding social enterprises. We went for a break and I did share with you some videos and some reading material which you were supposed to go through. I hope you have got time to see some of those videos. They were small videos of about 4 or 5 minutes each. And that would give you better context and perspective about what exactly is social enterprises. And since we are doing this online course, which is in a blended format, it is important for you to keep pace with the literature that I'm sharing with you, and also keep watching the video which I provide you for the break time, so that we can cover all the 6 topics in 2 days of teaching. So it is a bit accelerated a pace, I admit that, but that's how we need to do it because we're holding these classes over the weekend, and you have your regular university classes beginning Monday and Monday onwards. I'm going to share my slides about the topics that I'm going to talk about for this lecture. So this is what I'm going to cover in this segment of the lecture. I'm going to talk about what is a social value. Now, you're familiar with the concept of economic value. In fact, the whole paradigm of economics, man as a rational person, able to decide for himself, and even the new theory called public choice theory believes that man is essentially a rational operator and knows how to optimize his benefits. And whole business model also operates that if you are a businessman, if you are an entrepreneur, your prime goal should be to bring about profitability, to take care of the shareholder value, to expand your products, expand your market penetration, to build a brand and a customer base. Now we are seeing this kind of a shift which is happening, and if you have heard of Porter and Karma, Harvard University professor, they have given this very unique concept of shared value creation. Now, what is a shared value creation? Shared value creation is about not only blindly chasing profitability, but rather trying to achieve profitability and yet being able to bring about social benefit. So in a way, in a very simple words, it can be said that they try to amalgamate the economic value creation with the social value creation. And classically, if I have to define what is a social value, because we all know about economic value, we know about the bottom lines, we know about the profitability, we know about the green, balance sheets. But what is a social value? Social value is somewhat a nebulous, a vague concept, which is actually defies calculability and measurability in hard terms as you can do for economic value. Economic value can be understood in what has been the input in terms of resources and what has been the output, and what is the balance left between the kind of resources you put in to create that product or a service, and at what point did you sell. So the subtraction or the minus between these two is your profit which you take. And there is a whole lot of literature on understanding profitability. Karl Marx talked extensively about the concept of surplus value. What is a surplus value? And of course, he discussed it from a very Marxian perspective of how the capitalist class exploits the surplus value, which is actually created by the proletariats. We are not going into that zone, because that's a different ideology, but I'm just trying to understand and trying to make you clear that a social value is also very, very intangible concept. It is different from economic concept. And social value, if I have to talk about 2 primary or basic indicators about what is a social value, I can say it is about inclusivity and accessibility. And you would say that the government or government policy making also focuses not only in generating profitability, the goal of profit making of large governments, both in the communist and the capitalist regime, is that they are able to funnel some of these economic benefits also to the marginalized, backward communities. So inclusivity, or the concept of inclusion into the processes of development, into the growth trajectory of a society and an economy, is very important. And also another important concept is that of accessibility. You have to make resources, facilities, amenities available to all the citizens. That is what a flourishing society is. You can't have a skewed economic development where the top 5%, 10% or 20% of the population have all the benefits. They are leading, in abundance, in prosperity, and there is a sea of poverty and deprivation all around you. You cannot create islands of prosperity in the sea of poverty, is what I'm trying to talk about. So social value creation tries to alleviate this kind of imbalances which appeared in the classical capitalist industrialist model, which based itself only on creating economic value rather than creating social value. So the new paradigm, new model that even Porter and Calmer talks about is about creating this kind of amalgamation or weaving in of the social value and of the economic value. And it is about, respect and openness to the institution. It is about respect to the history, the culture, the knowledge, the sense of heritage which maybe have created. So social value is a very, very sensitive aspect. Inclusivity here also means that including people from different races, different gender, different communities, different ethnic background. So we are addressing to these kind of concerns which were never talked about in the classical capitalist model. And the social value, it's a value which is not really reducible purely to the economic terms. It is much wider, much more encompassing in its focus. And a social venture can be a for-profit venture, it can be a non-governmental organization, and it can also be a hybrid kind of an organization which sort of sits on the intersectionality of being an enterprise and also being socially concerned. And it's a profit. It is about creating this sustainable solution to address the social problems that actually matter in the society. So in a way, it is about blurring the boundaries. It is about removing this classical compartmentalization by which we understand non-profit organization, government, corporations, businesses, MNCs, NGOs, and so on and so forth. And I'm particularly, to understand a social enterprise, I usually use this concept which was given by Muhammad Yunus of microfinance. And in his book, Muhammad Yunus, a Nobel laureate, of course, gave the concept of creating he wrote a book which was titled as Creating a World Without Poverty. And he proposed this new kind of model, which is a social enterprise model or a social business model. And his microfinance concept, which is actually questions the classical, the banking system, because the whole banking process operates on the credit worthiness of who the borrower is. And here Muhammad Yunus gives a new concept of microfinancing, of giving loans, these small loans to the poor people, to the marginalized communities, and more interestingly, to the women, just based on trust. That these women who are taking these small loans to take themselves out of the abject poverty or to set up a very, very micro business or a small enterprise would be able or would surely pay back the loan which has been taken from this Grameen Bank. So Grameen Bank is a bank which provides these micro loans to the underprivileged, poor, marginalized community, and it is particularly focused onto the women and to wonderful surprise that when Muhammad Yunus did that, he gave this very small loans, sometimes just few dollars, to these women, and the rate of return, in terms of paying back to the bank was nearly 95%. That means 95% of the women actually repaid the loans which they took from Grameen Bank. So this is a remarkable model of creating social value and empowering these women in true senses. And it's not only that this model was adopted in Bangladesh, we have it in India. The Grameen Bank is also in India, and they're doing remarkable work in many, many Asian countries, African countries, where the need for this kind of small loans is enormous among these deprived communities who have not been benefiting from either liberalization or privatization and even globalization. So Yunus describes a market-based business model whose focus is on the pursuit of social and environmental goals rather than pure personal greed or personal economic gain. So social business model, in a way, tries to bring together social, environmental, and economic gains all in one bucket. And in these hybrid organizations, social value is not merely a byproduct of entrepreneurial activity, but is actually intended as a primary outcome. It is not an afterthought. It is not that once you have earned your sufficient profit, you will go and do some kind of a charity. It is well decided before that enterprise is been set up that the mission is social welfare or social value creation along with the economic value creation. So social value cannot just be seen merely as a byproduct of an entrepreneurial activity, but is intended as a primary outcome of the business venture itself. Now, this is a slide which provides you sort of a matrix of what are hybrid organization, which I try to explain through Muhammad Yunus model and concept of shared value creation, and the whole social enterprise in a way is based on this concept. So look at it, look at the arrows and look at the matrix very carefully. So social entrepreneurship or social enterprise sits at the intersectionality where the aim is, of course, to make profit, but also to bring about social impact. The aim is to have economic returns, but not merely economic returns. So it's kind of trying to create this kind of a blended zone in which the social purpose, social consequences, traditional ventures and enterprise and non-profit organizations are blending into the concern and the whole edifice or the motto of social enterprise itself. It is trying to sort of adopt blend in these multiple myriad concerns within its business model itself, from seeking profitability to high social impact. I will share that slide with you about a YouTube video on do social enterprises in a way defy the binary of traditional business as usual model and that of non-governmental organization. And this YouTube video, if you listen to it and see after this slide, it becomes much more clearer, because here we are talking about the whole spectrum. The spectrum is from the social sustainability model and the economic sustainability model. And if we talk about the economic sustainability model, the system that we have been following till date, it is kind of a traditional business model. If you look at the one extreme of the spectrum where we talk about economic sustainability, it is basically about traditional business model. And as we start moving inwards, you will see that their concern becomes blended with can we start doing CSR or corporate social responsibility? And then slowly the movement is towards creating social business models. So economic sustainability model from a very classical, traditional, for-profit, the Adam Smith's concept or Milton Friedman's concept of business is business, we are slowly moving on to the concept of, Carol, he talks about, CSR as in the terms of pyramid. He devises a pyramid. Carol devises a pyramid of corporate social responsibility where economics is the base, but then there are social, environmental concerns which are as important as the economic base. And then we talk about enlightened stakeholder model, where you just don't concern yourself with the shareholders, but actually start taking care of the stakeholders within the society. And that is where we are starting moving into the socially responsible business, or conscious capitalism is another term which is being used, responsible capitalism. And as we are, as I'm delivering this lecture during the COVID time, there are a lot more literature which is coming up where some of the philanthropists of the world are actually talking about capitalism reset. So capitalism itself needs to reset itself, and the classical, greed-driven capitalist model may not be really sustainable, because we are seeing global crises, we are seeing disasters, we are seeing huge amount of climate change happening. So the purely greed-driven, with high inequality society and economy may not be a lasting systems to follow, and we need a quick rectification, quick change in our systems to be more acceptable and more sustainable and more, a more sort of beneficial and peaceful for the whole society at large. And move towards the other end of the spectrum, and you will see that that is a traditional non-profit organization. And traditional non-profit organizations are NGOs. Of course, they're concerned about the society, but very often they are relying excessively on charity, on funds, on donations. And that's another model which is not going to last very long. So that is why this model is also moving towards non-profit with income generating activities and also social enterprises. So you see the extreme ends from the economic sustainability model to the social sustainability model are moving inwards to create this kind of a sustainability equilibrium. From the concept of social sustainability to economic sustainability, we have to move on to the concept of sustainability equilibrium, which balances both the social sustainability and the economic sustainability. I hope these slides make things more clearer to you about what are hybrid organization and how we are seeing the difference. This slide is about the total social impact and how the concept of corporate social responsibility cannot be really equated to the concept of social total societal impact. The lens for the total societal impact is different because the pursuit of the social impact is more integral to the strategy and to the value creation. It is more integral to the system or to the business model itself, whereas the social or corporate social responsibility model, here what happens is the societal impact and shareholder returns are of more importance, and whatever is left in terms of social responsibility is provided as an afterthought. So the prime focus continues to be on the shareholder value creation and corporate longevity rather than on the social responsibility. So you see this kind of a disjuncture which emerges in the corporate social responsibility model, which is different from total social impact lens, which is much more integrated, overlapping with each other. And in the previous class, I did talk about the difference between what is an innovation and social innovation. This is a slide which categorically, in a very, very tabulated form, talks about the difference between the traditional companies and the social enterprises. And if you look into the 4 important parameters that are drawn in the table, from motivation to innovation, processes, goals, surplus, and expected changes, there is clear-cut, very, very apparent manifested difference between what traditional companies do and what social enterprises aim to do. So the traditional sort of company would look into market opportunities to generate more economic value. That's the primary concern of the business enterprises. Whereas social enterprises, they would like to address social value issues through social value creation. The second important point of difference is about innovative processes and goals. The traditional business model or company would give greater focus to the presence in the market and to reduce the profits of their competitors. Whereas social enterprises wants more involvement of actors in and pays more attention to the problems which they're trying to solve and create more collaborative mechanisms and allies and friends so that they're able to sort of create the social value. The third is the surplus creation. So the classical business model increases or wants to increase the economic wealth of the shareholder, whereas social enterprises are more interested in being representative and in trying to address the problems and in fulfillment of various social missions. Last is about the expected changes. Of course, the classical traditional companies want the resolution of the market needs. They take into account the considerations of the clients, the customers, and the consumers. And it is different again from social enterprises because social enterprises are more concerned about the vision, which is focused on promoting market inclusion, accessibility, granting rights to those who have been excluded and unheard and, by both the market and by the state. So this is a combined model which they look into. My next slide is about an example which I personally love to talk about. It is about a social enterprise in India named Arvind Eye Clinic. And this was set up in 1976 by Dr. Govindarappa Venkataswamy in Tamil Nadu, India. And what is interesting is that Dr. Venkataswamy wanted to sort of emulate the surface efficiency of McDonald's fast food, and he sought to adopt the same practices and principles for the eye care system in India to cope with the increasing number of cataract patients in India. We have very high number of cataract surgeries in India and cataract patients, and many of them are not able to undergo the operation and ultimately lose their sight or become blind. And to look into this gap which that so many patients were not able to undergo the cataract surgery, Arvind Eye Clinic was created. So Arvind began performing these surgeries on large scale with the treatment sometimes being free or highly subsidized for the poor people or poor patients. I'll be sharing this YouTube link with you for more deeper understanding of this eye clinic. But I want to quote here and what Arvind Dr. Venkataswamy, the founder of the Arvind Eye Clinic, said that if Coca-Cola can sell billions of sodas and McDonald's can sell billions of burgers, why can't Arvind Eye Clinic sell millions of eye restoring operations and eventually in the belief in human perfection? So Dr. Venkataswamy had a vision to restore the gift of sight to the millions of the poor blind people through the Arvind Eye Clinic. And Arvind business model is based on his vision to solve the blindness problem, regardless of the patient's ability to pay for the surgery. And what he does is basically 50% of his patients receive services either free of cost or at a steeply subsidized rate, yet the organization continues to be financially self-sustainable. Much more important, the fact is that he follows the principle of equity. And this is a very important thing, I believe personally, because he ensures that all the patients are accorded the same high quality care and service, regardless of the economic status of that patient, whether he's able to pay the full amount for the surgery or he was treated free or at a highly subsidized rate. All are treated on the principle of equity. Another critical component of the Arvind Eye Clinic model is the high patients volume, which brings with it the benefit of economy of scale. And Arvind uniquely has this assembly line approach, which increases the productivity almost tenfold. What is also interesting in this fact is that over 4.5 lakh eye surgeries or procedures were performed in a year in Arvind, making it one of the largest eye care providers in the world. And he follows this business model of singular vision of eliminating the blindness through cataract surgery. And he has this hybrid business model, which I have been giving examples of since the beginning of the talk today. That hybrid business model helped Arvind use the cash flow from the paying patients to cross-subsidize the services for the needy. And this model helped Arvind develop a specialty service along with basic cataract surgery and care. So Arvind also interestingly attracts many qualified, highly qualified and competent doctors in the clinic. So high volume, high quality, low cost business model all create this unique social enterprise model of a social enterprise in India, Tamil Nadu. And just to give you a sense of what we are talking about, an average eye cataract surgery in USA would cost $3,000. And in Arvind Eye Clinic, you can get it at $50. So you are talking of a big difference in terms of cost of the surgery. And he goes out, he has actually reached out to the underserved community. Arvind also has this kind of, has to generate this kind of a demand for customer outreach program. So this, again, a figure explains what is Arvind Eye Clinic model all about. It is about patient-centered care. It ensures quality, efficient services, giving value, high volume, reaching to the people, and also ensuring financial sustainability. So it's one of the successful models which can be talked about. And when I personally was doing a course from University of Oxford, they did refer to and talked about, and as we studied the case of Arvind even in that. So it's a highly globally cited case of a social enterprise which could scale itself and yet be profitable and serve the community and be financially sustainable. So this is what we're talking about. So Arvind has been able to successfully execute the business model for over 44 years to become one of the largest providers of the eye care service in the whole world. And Arvind Eye Clinic holds eye camps, hospitals. This is a whole model which I'm going to share with you in my slides. You can have a look at it, that how he helps the poor people and how he charges the wealthy people for the benefit of the community, and has been successfully creating both the social and the economic value. And this is a virtuous circle of performance at Arvind. And you look at it, take a moment to look at the slide, and you will see that when we talk about the hybrid funding model, dual segmentation, highly motivated doctor, motivated and disciplined support staff, then vertical integration have helped Arvind Eye Clinic, eliminate the needless blindness, which was his sole motto of setting up an Arvind Eye Clinic in 1976. So there are cataract surgeries, there are high efficient assembly line methods, standardization of hospital operations, funding, wherever there's a funding shortfall, he outreaches, and the people who are able to pay, that is a paying patient, can cross-subsidize the poor people. So this is a remarkable model of social enterprises which can be replicated. So I'll stop here today. Now, if you have some questions, you can ask me or write it in the chat box. I will take them up and answer to you. And we again meet tomorrow at 10:30 for the next lecture. And in the meanwhile, please read the material. And I'm going to share after this class also some YouTube links which will help you through the case studies, which I've talked very quickly. I understand that, but recapitulating it through the YouTube, listening, and also reading some of the materials and articles that I've shared with you will help you contextualize and comprehend it in better manner. So thank you, everybody. I end the class today. I meet you tomorrow at 10:30 again for the next round of classes for the short course on social enterprises. See you. Bye-bye. Good evening. Thanks a lot.